Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sure. Let's begin. So, hello everyone. Today I'll be speaking about my favorite topic, like Varsha mentioned, typing. And the specialty in today's topic is end-to-end typing. So, before we start, let me just tell you something about myself. So I work as a UI engineer at Harness. Before this, I used to work at Flipkart, and I primarily work with TypeScript and React. I like to listening to EDM music while I code, and I regularly watch Formula One on the weekend. Since the talk is about typing, so let's first discuss a little bit about TypeScript, right? So TypeScript is a open source language by Microsoft. It is generally considered as a superset of JavaScript. It adds static type checking to the JavaScript and helps you detect errors at compile time. It provides predictability and readability in terms of in especially in large code bases. It is suitable for as I said, for large scale products like enterprise applications. Over the past few years, we have seen a steady increase in the usage of TypeScript, as you can see from this graph, right? Uh, Around 2016, the usage of TypeScript was below 25%, and as of 2020, it is nearly 75%. And many companies and organizations are slowly migrating their projects to TypeScript, and even very popular projects like React Router DOM are being migrated to TypeScript because it provides a very good developer experience. Now let's have a look at a basic anatomy of a web app. So in a web app, generally you have a client and you have server, and there is a communication between them, and it generally happens using HTTP requests. For example, here we are making a request to a get resource on some URL. The servers then takes this request, processes it, and responds with the data. Over the HTTP layer, generally we use JSON. JSON is the most popular format. There are other formats possible, but the JSON is very popular, right? So we have now the client side of the application, and we have the server side of the application. Using TypeScript, we can ensure type safety on the client, and on the server, you can ensure type safety using languages like Java, TypeScript, and Go. Even languages like PHP, Python, and Ruby have added static typing, just like TypeScript, in recent version of their languages. And so we can establish that server is type safe and client is type safe, right? But you see that there is a disconnect between the server and the client, right? There is nothing connecting those or bridging the gap, right? But if you are using one of these two frameworks, not frameworks actually, these are specifications, right? So one is called Open API Initiative, and the other is called GraphQL, right? If you use any of these specifications in your applications, the bridging that gap is very easy. And I'll go through each of the specification briefly, right? First, and I want to make a disclaimer that this is nothing about which is better, REST or GraphQL or OpenAPI. It is not about that. It's purely about the advantages of using either of these frameworks. So let's look at what is a OpenAPI and what is GraphQL. So OpenAPI is a description format for your REST APIs. It is usually written in JSON or YAML, and its tooling is available in many languages, not just TypeScript. Similarly, GraphQL is a query language for an API, but it has its own syntax, which is very different from JSON, and it also has tooling available in many languages. So what are the advantages of using any of these frameworks? Right? You can establish very solid API contracts between the client and the server. What that means is if, let's say, contract shape of a JSON data which you are getting changes at the back end, right? So the client would be immediately updated of that, and you can make the required changes to your application. You can also reuse the types which are defined in the backend at the front end, and no need to manually redefine those types in the front end again. API documentation can be generated automatically using these specifications. You don't need to maintain it manually or update them manually. You can also generate mock data automatically for your applications to test it, or getting your development process started pretty early. It can also help with automated testing of APIs. So I'll try to give you a brief example of each of these points in the demo, which we'll have a look at now. Excuse me. So for the demo purposes, I have created this application which gives you the data of the Formula One seasons. So this application is implemented using REST APIs and also GraphQL APIs. Both the view layer is very similar between both the applications, but it's just the communication layer is different. This REST application, as the name suggests, uses REST APIs to interact with the server. The GraphQL application uses GraphQL. So first we'll focus on the REST application, right? When you land on the main page, right, you can select a season for which you want to see the summary of the data. All the way going back to 1950, you can actually see all the summary of the data. So you can see all the races that took place in this season. You can look at who was on pole position, who was the winner for the race. You can look at the driver standings for the season, and also you can look at the constructor standings for the season. And when you click on the constructor standings, right, so you can actually look their progress throughout the season, like how they performed race wise, right? Yeah. So similar page exists for drivers, but I have not implemented it yet, and I was waiting for this day to implement it. Right. So let's dive into the code right away. Right. So what you see here is what is a API Open API specification. So it is you can define it using YAML or JSON. Here I've used YAML. So you can see that you can define your paths or schemas in the YAML itself. If you open a path, you can define your method. You can give a description. You can give some unique identifier. You can give what parameters it accepts. You can also define your responses, right? So this way you can establish a very good contract specification for your contract. All right. So you can also define your schemas. So these are the objects which I have defined using YAML. So you see there is a season summary which is of type object. It has different properties, right? So this is very similar if you have worked with JSON schema itself. So they are related around 90%. They are not 100% same. They overlap a bit, but in some cases, OpenAPI differs from JSON schema specification. And this is how you define your schema in GraphQL. So this is a proprietary syntax which they have. You define your types and your query, then you define your different types available. Right, so this is how you define schema. I will not be going into details how GraphQL works. So this is just an overview, right? One thing I would like to say that OpenAPI, it's not necessary that you write this YAML by hand yourself. There are frameworks out there which can generate this YAML for you. For example, in Node.js, there is a framework called Loopback, which you can use, and it will spit out this YAML for you. But for the purposes of this demo, I have implemented this manually by hand. Right. Let's now move on to implementing this page. Right. So let me just open uh, driver standings page. Yeah. Right. So I have the skeleton already here. So generally what happens is when you are working on an application, right, you receive a mock JSON from your backend developer or something like that to work on and start developing your app. In a similar fashion, I have this mock JSON ready with me to test out and implement the application. So what I'll do is I'll import that data. Import data from mock.json, and I already have a snippet ready. So I'll just replace it. I'll uncomment this. Right now, let's take a look at this. Right now, you can see that the data is coming from the mock.json. Let me just show you by going for some other drivers. See, I have selected for Ricardo, but the data is still coming from for Lewis Hamilton because we are using mock. So now let's try to connect to an API. Right. For the purposes of this demo, I will be using a package called RESTful React. It allows us to make API calls using hooks. Right. So you generally use something like this, use get. Okay, I'll paste this. I'll copy. I'll paste this. I'll need to import spinner. Right. Now I am on for standings for Ricardo. Let me just refresh it. Yeah. Now you can see that I am getting data for correct driver, Daniel Ricardo, right? And yeah, you can see that the data is coming correctly. Now let's move on to some other driver and let's try to see whether it's working. Oh, something went wrong, right? Let's check what happened. So let me go to console, right? So we got this error saying that expected type was number but got object instead of null, right? So how can we avoid this? Imagine this happening on a production site or uh, even on your QA, right? That would be very disastrous, right? So how can we prevent this at even during when we are writing the code itself, right? So using Open API, we can do this. So RESTful React also comes out of the box with a CLI which can import this Open API schema and generate some hooks for you, which integrate all the types. So when you run this hooks RESTful React CLI, it spits out a file. Sorry, this is for GraphQL. Oh, right, it spits out a file something like this, right, where you have all the interfaces defined and these are already read and converted to TypeScript from the specification itself, right? And it automatically helps and creates all the hooks for you. So if you look at this for our driver standing, it has already created a hook which we can already directly use, and it is plugging in all the correct types automatically, right? So let's just let me just, I have even that ready. Let me just put it over here, and I will import it, and let me just comment that out, clean this up. Right now you can see that since we are reading this data from the backend, right, we get the type of this data automatically populated over here, and you can see here itself, right, like it is saying that our data is incompatible, and it is saying that the property points is incompatible. It comes as number or null, but I am trying to give it as number. I am accepting only numbers, right? So we have caught this kind of issue while development itself. All right. So let me just open this component, and let me just change this. Okay, so I'll accept number or null now. I know ahead of time that these three properties are nullable because I have implemented the code. Right now, when I do this, right, so you can see that there are more issues popping over in your file. So I can just, oh, sorry, I can just put in some. So this is double line, right? Position. If it comes else, I will say dash, right? Uh, why it is not picking? Oh, it's raise position. Sorry. Right. Now I don't see any other errors. And now if we run this, yeah, the data is now loading correctly. And you see that this value was coming as null. And we have handled it gracefully, right, without even actually hitting the API. If we have this implementation implemented correctly, we can do this, right? So let me just go back on my slide, right? So first, I had demonstrated like solid API contracts can be enforced. So I have demonstrated this. This can be similarly done for GraphQL. Let me just show you for GraphQL also. Right, so if I switch to GraphQL, it is already working because I had implemented this ahead of time. Let me just open the page for GraphQL. Driver standings inside GraphQL, right? So similar thing can be done for GraphQL, right? So I have already created a hook for this. If you see, right, so it also plugs in the data required, the response types, everything automatically, right? For purposes of this demo, I'm using a package called URQL. URQL is one of the famous package which is used in GraphQL world. And for generating this file, I'm using something called GraphQL code generator. So GraphQL code generator. Yeah. So I'm using this package, GraphQL code generator. It supports TypeScript and many packages. It even supports Apollo. It supports Vue. Right? It supports a lot of frameworks and languages. It also supports like .NET, Java. Like you have support for different languages which you can use, right? Not just TypeScript. So for the demo, I'm using this package. Right, so this gives, so if you see, right, so I'm getting That data is of type driver's standing page query. Let me just go here, page query, right? You can see that it has done everything for you, right? So instead of doing this manually, you can do this in an automated way, and it reduces a lot of manual efforts which you need to put in testing, right? So if you are using some either Open API standard or GraphQL, either one of this with something like this, right? It removes a lot of manual effort from developers end. And I would like to also say that this is not only packages out there. For example, for GraphQL, there are other packages which I'm not aware of. Uh, for OpenAPI, there is this website called OpenAPI Tools. Sorry for the background noise. There is a railway track near my house. Sorry for that. Yeah. Yeah, where was I? Yeah. So for OpenAPI tools, we have this website called OpenAPI Tools, where you can get a bunch of different uh, tools for your languages. Like if you see, the converters are available for TypeScript, Go, PHP, .NET, everything, right? So and Python and different languages, right? So you can adopt. It's not necessary you use a TypeScript at the backend to get advantage of this. You can use any language, but I urge you to look into this and adopt this uh, in your organizations, right? uh, Now coming to so you can, since the types are generated, right, so you can share them between front end and back end, and you can actually reuse them instead of writing them in separately in the client and trying to keep them in sync with the backend. You can actually reuse them, and if the backend changes, you can get those updated types automatically, right? For API documentation, I'll show you an example, right? So for example, this is the automatic documentation generated for the Formula One app using Open API. Right? If you see that the summary which we had defined has been picked up as here as a heading. It gives all the path parameters required. It gives us a response schema, where, right, what it gives, right? You can go in detail and look at it. It also gives you sample dummy data. Let me just expand all, right? You can, it also gives you a sample dummy data which you can use to get started with your development, right? If you don't like to work with TypeScript, right, you can use this to start kick off your development. Right, so this is the automatic documentation. So I'm using one of the tools which is mentioned over here only for this. Next, for GraphQL also, GraphQL comes out of the box with a tool called GraphQL, which acts as the cell documentation. So if you look over here, this is a documentation explorer that comes. So you have query, you have season summary. For example, you can go to constructor standings, look at the arguments, and look at the return types, what you have, right? Uh, so yeah, using such kind of tools, right, will greatly reduce the mental burden and manual testing effort from the developers side. So I'm all about always how can I improve the developer experience, right? So this is one of the ways that I found in which we can actually improve the development of developer experience, right? So this is all from my side on this. So this code is actually will be available on GitHub. You can go to this URL or scan this QR code. So this code is actually available on GitHub, and you can play with around it. And you can also connect with me on the session after this talk. And if you have any doubts or anything, we can discuss that over there. Thank you.